Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ask Guidr Roundtable. I'm Lisa Rozier. For those of you that don't know me, I am the Director of Marketing here, and joined with us is Britt Shearin. Britt, if you want to give us a wave, she is our product owner and attorney on the platform. We have got Raymond here, co-founder and entrepreneur, as well as Dave Zampano. You all know him. Kristen Belcher, our CEO, and Leslie is in our marketing department as well. And today's conversation, and I just want to double check we're recording. So setting the expectations for today's conversation is, we've been having a lot of conversation on all of our Ask Guidr roundtables. They are available on our YouTube channel if you have to reference back to some of them. But we have an attorney with us who's going to share his story through the Guidr platform. And I think this is a great chance for all of the team members and attorneys that are on this call to ask questions. You have Britt, the product owner, me in marketing, and Leslie, and Tim Crisafulli is going to be our guest attorney today, who will be talking about his experience with Guidr, what he's done to make it success, share some of the bad things, some of the good things. And really, hopefully this opens the floor for great conversation. Again, open conversation, ask the questions. You have everyone that's been a part of building this platform involved. And I'm just looking really quick to see who's with us. Hey, Nicole, it's been a while since we spoke from Dinesh's team. I know you're on mute, but thank you for joining us. And Tom, thank you for joining us. And Ella and Brian, nice to see you, sir. Thank you for joining us. And I don't know if there's anybody else that I'm not 100% sure. So without further ado, and as always, we always like to use the chat feature and raise your hand. So not only is Tim going to share his experience, but Britt's going to give us, as always, some product updates and show some examples. And before we jump in, Britt, do you have anything that you'd like to add into the conversation for today?
Not really. I'm excited for you all to hear Tim's experience with Guidr so far. And like Lisa said, I will be showing the newest engagement agreement updates that I was unable to show last time due to some internet issues. So we're just going to walk through what that looks like a little bit when after I think Tim does his piece.
And just as a follow-up to that video, the piece that Britt's going to share today is also on the Guidr YouTube channel, so you'll be able to reference that as well. Guy, Dave, would you like anything to say anything before we jump in? Dave's having his lunch.
I was desperately looking for the unmute button. Then you know what it's like. You know where it is until you're asked, and then your head goes. No, nothing to add. I'm looking forward to listening to Tim, and then if anyone's got any questions on the technical side, then that's what I'm here for. I'm the resident geek. Please feel free to interrogate me.
Sounds good. Thanks, Guy. And Dave?
Yeah, I always attend these calls because I love listening to the questions, right? I'm the visionary. I have all these ideas, but I like to hear the input that the guests have so that I can further refine the vision. So I love it. I appreciate them being here, and I welcome any questions around that.
All right. Thanks, Dave. And again, one last time, is there any questions that anyone has at the moment that you want to put in the chat feature, or hopes of what you're going to get out of today's conversation? Again, feel free to use the chat feature. If not, hi, Tim.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
I'm just going to say, jump in, introduce yourself. And I think you have a phenomenal Guidr story, and there might be times that I ask you some questions, but please, the floor is yours.
Okay, sounds good. Well, first of all, thanks everybody for attending. Thanks for having me in this seat today. I appreciate it. It's always fun to collaborate. So Lisa reached out to me a few weeks back, and she said, would I appear in the roundtable? I said, sure. What should I prepare ahead of time? What do you want me to do? What do you want me to know? And she said, just tell your story. Tell what the whole Guidr experience has been like for you. What's been good? What have been your reservations about it along the way? Where are you now in implementation, and how is it working? So that's what I'll do. So my Guidr story starts out about 2 years and 2 weeks ago today. We're all sitting there in Florida. We're having a taper session, and Dave does a keynote speech all about technologies coming even more than you can ever imagine to the legal field. Be ready. And he laid out 5-year timelines and 10-year timelines. None of us in the room knew it was going to be about a 2-week timeline before the world shut down, and we had to figure out how we're going to move delivery of legal services to a technology-heavy format right away with COVID. And then we all did what it took in shifting everything that we were delivering in a way where we could do it remotely. But in the background, here's LWP, and here comes Guidr as not just a way to deliver what we were currently doing, the way we were doing it, but really in a whole new way to a whole new market of people who we weren't otherwise reaching. And I have had and continue to have the good fortune of getting a few looks behind the scenes in the development process, whether that was early on being invited to some Zoom calls, hearing about what the product is, hearing even what it might be named, and just inviting the ideas. You know, you're a practicing attorney, Tim. Here's what we're thinking about. We're thinking about intensifying the level of remote access and client creation along the way, all the while differentiating ourselves by not removing the lawyer from the process. So what's that feel like? What would that product look like? And I had the opportunity to give a lot of input along the way. I come from the world from the point of view of high fact finder, very low quick start. It is hard for me to implement new things because I like to have all the answers ahead of time. It's just the way I'm built. So my initial fear, my initial reservation was the ethics of this thing. Because if I'm me, my name, my law firm, I worked hard for this bar admission. And if I'm putting it out there and supporting this product, I got to know that my ethics are rock solid in what I'm delivering. Are the users of this product my clients? When you use something like LegalZoom, there's no attorney-client relationship ever created. So an initial question I had was all around the ethics of this product. Am I the lawyer? If I am, what duties do I owe my client? If I'm not, why not? Where is that line? And to the extent I am the lawyer, how am I going to deliver that in a way that is ethically sound and helpful to people? I had questions about, well, what if they screw up? What if a user ends up creating a document that looks different than what I would have done? And, you know, just the overall concern of, dear heavens, what if something goes wrong along the way? So these were my reservations, and I was welcome to share those all along the way. As far as the ethics of it goes, kudos to Dave and Guy for taking that on and taking that on really early in the process. They hired an ethics attorney. I forget if it's Tulane University, professor of somewhere, feels like the South. And he took it on and he explained what the LegalZoom product is, how Guidr, as it was conceptualized at the time, was different, and exactly what all of the ethical underpinnings of this product are. And so I came to peace with that and came to the conclusion that, yeah, this is a workable product. So next up, I had to do, you know, what I'll call my own coping mechanism. You know, here I am, not a quick start, coming at this of a place of, oh no, here comes a massive change. And a few thoughts I had along the way were realizing there's no choice. I mean, this is what's happening to the legal field. There will still be plenty of clients who need handholding, who need face-to-face, who need more sophisticated level plans than something like a Guidr platform will produce. Great. I'll continue working with them and I'll continue serving them. But there is a massive population of people who I was not helping, wasn't going to help, and they need the help. And frankly, why shouldn't I be the guy to facilitate getting them what they need? And I realized if I'm not involved in that, somebody else is going to do it. So why not me? Why wouldn't I be the one to help out people who are well served by accessing legal services in this way? Second of all, this really helps people. That's why we got into it in the first place. So this is a way to deliver something that people absolutely need who wouldn't otherwise get it at all. A huge thing for me, and this might be something unique I bring, is I just really trust the way products are developed by this team. I got involved with LWP in 2016, and I have had the opportunity to be involved with the development of a lot of different things. I got to be involved with development of Secure Act language that went into documents, once that law got rolled out by Congress. I've been involved in the development of various different products and seen the rollout. And consistently, every time something new comes out, before it hits membership, it has seen so much development. It has seen so much research. It has been tried and tested over and over again. And then the other part of my trust in this organization is I know it's going to be different a year from now than it is right now, because I know it's going to continue to get attention. One of the great things about delivering legal services across multi-states is you've got the perspectives and the experiences that other people are having. Guidr, I know, is and will continue to be great about receiving that input and really dealing with that input and saying, all right, well, there's a suggestion to make this modification or that one. That's not ignored. Those things are really carefully vetted, and I know that the product will continue to evolve. I think it's great now, but I know that this will just continue to get better and better, like any good technology rollout does. I was thinking about Netflix, right? Remember how it started? You ordered the damn CD that came into your mailbox, and that was cutting edge at the time. It's totally different delivery now, and it's going to continue to be totally different in the future. Guidr's going to do that, and I want to be in at the ground level as this thing is good and continues to get better. But still, those are big, broad concepts. I'm a high fact finder. I got to deal with it. I got to deal with my discomfort of the first time a client clicks on it, generates his or her own documents that I didn't do and that I'm responsible for. So my plan to get there was, for me, I had to draft my own documents. So I went in, I used the demo feature. We can get in there and we can do this. I drafted my own documents just as if I needed a base plan. And I really saw, okay, what does this look like? What does the interface feel like? What are the questions that come up? Is this going to be easy for a user who's a non-attorney? Is this going to be difficult? What are some issues along the way? And I gave plenty of input. Next, I invited other people to do it who weren't attorneys, like paralegal here or like client services coordinator here. What does it look like? What does it feel like? Use the thing and tell me what you think. So now I'm getting a few multiple perspectives very much behind the scenes. The next thing I needed to do, and I really encourage anybody to do this, when you come across a client who's entered your sort of normal traditional way, maybe through a workshop, in they come, and you truly conclude that all they need is a base level plan and that's what you were going to draft for them anyway. Last summer, when I was faced with a client, a married couple, they were doing their plan because they had a baby and they knew they had to get a guardian nomination in place. So that's the whole reason they were doing this. They did not need a big sophisticated plan. They needed a base level plan. So I said, well, you're about to pay me this much money to do it. Tell you what, how about you let me watch you use this other system and you'll get a big price discount along the way. And I said, sure, how do we do it? I said, I just want to watch. I want to have a Zoom call. I want you to share your screen with me so I can watch along the way. And please talk out loud. When you're reading something, say it out loud. When you two as a married couple are going back and forth, I want to hear what you're thinking and hear your thought process. When your kids are screaming or your dog's in the background, I want that to happen. Make this a very real, authentic experience of exactly what using this is going to truly be like for you. And I watched. And it was really helpful to see other people have that experience, non-attorneys. It did a lot to bring me to peace with this, and to make me ever more confident in it. Guidr's gotten better even since then, and I know it will continue to, but that brought me a lot of confidence. It doesn't have to be a one-time thing. Neither of those experiences need to be a one-time thing. To this day, every once in a while, if I'm drafting a base plan for somebody, I'll just do it in Guidr. The client, I may or may not invite the client to know that I'm doing that. Sometimes I'll say, let me watch you. Sometimes I'll just go in, and instead of drafting through Action Step, I'll draft through Guidr, just to continue to see how the product develops. So between using the demo, which you can all just do, between me drafting base level plans for clients using Guidr, and between me just watching clients do this, that was my plan. I knew I needed to see this a number of times and become confident in it before I would allow that little Guidr icon to be featured on my website. And it is. And that was the process I personally had to go through to get comfortable with it. So I want to talk just a little bit more, one about a time I probably could have used it, but didn't, because I wasn't yet confident enough. And then a time when I did. So a time when I did not use it, I got a call from a family friend, said, hey, I'm here in hospice with my uncle. My uncle's about to pass. He doesn't have anything in place. I said, well, how's his capacity? Can he still talk? Can he still think? Can he still communicate? He said, yeah, he's good. In fact, if you could get over here, maybe we could put something together. I couldn't get there. It just wasn't going to happen on this schedule. It would have been a perfect time to say, well, geez, do you have a laptop? Can you get to this place? Do the whole thing right there. I did not do it because I was not yet confident in the product. I just hadn't gone through what I needed to get through to do it. Fast forward, he's passed away, and I didn't help him. I didn't take the engagement. I didn't go to hospice, and I didn't share that Guidr was possible. So now everything's moving through in test to see the truck or something else. Well, Uncle whoever always said he wanted this to go to so-and-so, but there's no will. So of course we're sifting through all those things now in test to see, and we'll see how it goes. Point is, I had the tool. I wasn't confident in it yet. I didn't use it, and there's a consequence to it. Not a good one. Next time the opportunity presented itself, swear to God, I was at Disneyland in California, and I got an inquiry on email. I was looking through back at the hotel at night. I said, hey, you know what? Try this Guidr thing, because I had gone through my process and become more confident in it. And sure enough, by the next day, someone had created documents. I took my 10 minutes looking at the documents and doing what I felt to be my due diligence to meet all my ethical responsibilities. I approved of the documents, and that was it. And I like to think that I made enough money in those 10 minutes to almost pay for half of a lunch at Disneyland prices. So, it was good. I was able to help these people, and what a great way to make money, from the hotel at Disney with just about 10 minutes of looking something over, again, because of my confidence in the quality of the product. So
Tim, I would just add, for a quick start like me, it's not 10 minutes, it's about a minute and a half.
I get it. And another thing that reminds me, my process is not yet done for me. The way I need to implement this and the way I need to stay confident in the process and in the product, I'm not done. I mean, still to this day, I will call or email every client who uses Guidr, because I still want to directly talk with the person. I don't think I'm going to do that for much longer, but it's what I need for now in my development, in my use of this product. It's not required.
And Tim, I think that's a great point. Is your attorney your way is the slogan to the community, but for the attorneys on this call, it's your Guidr your way. We've made it so you can do it very simply and easily, and you can do as much more with it than you want. And I think, like you said, it's about getting comfortable with it your way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that the time will come when I implement this as designed. But I also know that I personally need to go through my process, which is unique to me. And so that's why I did the demo a few times. That's why I watched clients on the Zoom call. That's why to this day, when someone uses it, I have a phone call with them. It's just the way I am. But I'm growing.
Tim, I want to add one other thing. You've talked about how you were involved in the process of the building. I want to give all the participants on the call an idea. You're getting a sense of Tim's level of fact finder and thoroughness. Imagine us on the development side trying to accommodate all of the things he wanted to make sure were addressed. And so Tim's a perfect example when we built this, who we wanted to be able to win over. We wanted to be able to win over high fact finders. We wanted to be able to win over, because this is a legal product. This is not a self-help site. This is actually a law firm. So Tim, your due diligence along the way, everybody is the beneficiary.
Well, good. So that's kind of my story, and that's enough of one guy talking. So
Actually,
what
Tim,
questions are out there?
I'm gonna jump in. You talked about everything from your perspective, but talk about, do you have a path and plan in place for marketing? Do you have future goals that are set? How are you incorporating this into the future of your firm?
Yeah. So the first plan I had to form was, how am I going to come to comfort with this? And that was what I shared. I had to do that. I had to get there. As far as marketing goes, my plan currently is to go back to my good old roots of RMS. I find it to be the best marketing that there is in the world. And, it takes all of about 3 minutes of thinking about Guidr to come up with 20 different wonderful uses of this thing. I mean, it used to be I focused my RMS time building those synergistic relationships with allied professionals. It used to be my mind went straight to financial planners, and it should make sense, and straight to accountants should make sense. But now I'm thinking, well, geez, what about hospice facilities? I mean, I used to be a teacher before I was a lawyer, and I thought I understood what procrastination was when I was teaching 7th graders. My Lewis and Clark project ain't done yet. Now I really know what procrastination is when somebody needs a will from a hospice bed. Nevertheless, that is a group who I cannot otherwise help but for Guidr, and now I can. So I've got RMS set up with somebody who's doing hospice and accounting nearby me. Next up, financial planners. Yeah, I was doing RMS with them before, but so often they just got to get somebody a very basic plan, and then the relationship will build from there. I mean, Guidr is that great intro, and it does help people because it does get something in place, but it has been so helpful to do my RMS as traditional with financial planners, and then say, oh, by the way, I'm excited about this new offering that I have. Do you have clients who otherwise aren't going to do their planning and they're not going to go through my process, who might be well served by this? And their eyes light up and they get all excited. I guess my initial concern I may have had was, am I taking my own bread out of my own mouth? I'm not. These are people who otherwise wouldn't have had a plan, who will grow with me and need something more sophisticated.
I'd add 2 other comments.
Yeah.
We are finding 2 things with RMS. So RMS, our advisors, we are finding that some of them are actually doing this in their offices now with their clients. Just to share with everyone as a visionary, this whole product was created because one of my best referral sources said to me one day, Dave, I need help. I've been telling my clients to come see you. They just won't call you. I don't know if it's the fear of being a lawyer, fear of seeing a lawyer, fear of lack of time. So he said, you've got to find a way to really simplify it down where I can get these people to do plans. And that's really was the central start of Guidr, the whole concept of what it was. Now, this same advisor, he has 14 advisors under him, and he instructs all of them to actually have the clients do their will healthcare proxy power of attorney in his office before they leave. They bring it up on the screen in the conference room. They bring it up on the television. They go in, they sign it, and they actually do it with the client. So that's one thing we've seen. The second thing we've seen is community events. For example, speaking at large employers. Recently, our office did one, I think it was, I want to say it was in City Hall or something like that. They had an age groups from low 20s up to 60 in the group of people because they were all employees. They were amazed at the different questions and insights from the younger people versus the older people. And interestingly, the older people were just as interested in it as the younger people. And the younger people were saying things like, oh my gosh, this has been a great way for me to get started working with my aunt. She's single, she's never been married. She really hasn't done this stuff. This is a great way for me to help her. Hey, it's a great way for me to get going. So it really started some great conversations. And then there are abbreviated presentations where, and you can even give discount codes. You can give codes which will track where the people using Guidr came from. So when we did that presentation, we gave a unique code to that group. So anytime a Guidr purchase came through that used that code, we actually could then measure how many people used it from that particular presentation.
Thanks
Lisa?
for that insight, Dave. And Tim, as always, thank you so much. We do have some questions and hand raises going on. So Debbie, which you have, and Dinesh, is that you? I see Dinesh.
Well, it's both of us. Debbie logged in at first.
I'm like, wait a minute.
I joined after a client. I saw what Debbie was doing, so I had to pop in.
Okay, wonderful. I see that you have a question.
No, it's not really a question. It's more of kind of chiming in on a marketing thing that we're doing that we weren't sharing at first, but now that I feel like confident about what we're doing, I'm going to share it. We actually are putting together an educational program called Powers in Planning, and we're partnering up with a few financial advisors. We're going to get into high schools and do like a hour-long presentation where I get a half hour, the financial advisor gets a half hour, and we talk to the graduating seniors about the importance of at least getting a power of attorney in place as they move forward throughout life and go off onto college or trade school or wherever they're going. Doesn't matter. They're no longer, in the eyes of the law, mom and dad's dependent. They're their own person. So we want to get them understanding that. So we're trying to get into the high schools to do free assemblies for the senior classes in hopes that they will be passing these materials on or sharing these materials with their parents. So we can start getting into the sandwich generation as well.
Very cool.
And that's on top of everything else everybody else said about getting in with the financial advisors and having them use this with their clients at their desks as well.
Yeah, so I'm going to jump on. So I've been, again, I'm excited because I have the liberty of doing some R&D with other LWP members with the Guidr platform. And to piggyback off of what you were saying, Dinesh, one firm, we're in the process of brainstorming, but it's an and. So they took it to the next level and they said, well, I set up a lunch and learn for the administration at a local university. And they were educating the university, so on and so forth. And then we took it the next step and said, well, when it's Parents Weekend, why don't we have a booth Parents Weekend to talk about the importance of having the proper documents in place and have some tablets there, and bam, you can just do it right then and there. So it's really taking advantage of that specific demographic. And just like you said, the kids are getting protected at 18. The parents have peace of mind. And then the parents sit back and go, holy smokes, I don't have this for myself. What do I have to do? And then because of everything that we've put in place, even the EPA, they might be a nice lead into your firm at a much higher level plan as well. So I love that brainstorm. And this is the stuff that we've always been, that we're talking about. And a lot of people that are on the Guidr platform, member law firms, it's either working for them or they're saying it's not working for them. And the thing that I come back to them and say is, what's your plan? You have to have a plan. You can't just throw it up there and think that it's going to work. Have a plan, have goals. If you're doing workshops, everybody in this room has a workshop goal. Now you have to have a Guidr goal. What are you doing? How many lunch and learns? How many strategic relationships? And how many plans do you want to put through the platform? So thank you for sharing that input. And I encourage everyone, please ask the questions. This is why we have the members on this call that are doing it and idea sharing. So thank you, Dinesh, for that. Really, very much so. Anything else? I know Josh. Hi, Josh. Nice to see you. Do we have any questions? He's on mute.
No, I don't have any questions. I was just listening to Tim talk about his primary concern, which is I'm still working over in my mind a little bit with my partner and I, which was the ethics thing. So I was glad to hear it from him anyway.
We're gonna, so just as a follow-up, this whole entire roundtable will be uploaded to the YouTube channel and everybody will be getting a notification, and you can absolutely share this with Vern.
I'd also remind everyone, let's see if this is coming through. It's not coming.
No, it's
through
not.
Because I have my background. The digitization of law is what I'm holding up. And particularly on that ethics thing, Dane Salino, I love his opening sentence. He says, is it ethical for me to do the things suggested in what you are about to read? Surely there has to be a problem. And then he says, you know, it starts with new technology, beginning with wireless phones, base stations, fax machines, cell phones, email, text messaging, cloud storage, social media, and teleconferencing. And the answer is yes, 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 and no, it doesn't need to be encrypted. Yes, 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 and yes. So that was, oh, there you go, guys got it up. But again, the ethics people have been through this with a fine-tooth comb. We've made, and we're always making it easier to, let me give you an example. This is really important. Tim said how thorough things are in the background. There was a question of, we originally had Guidr set up where the person using it clicks a button and automatically agrees to all the terms of hiring you. And then we went forward. What we realized afterward is, you know what, the attorney, we used to just automatically have the attorney sign it by virtue of it being on there. The ethics attorney said, well, that's okay, but what I'd rather have you do is I would rather have you have the attorney make an affirmative election to accept the client. And that we went back in and changed the software at a hefty cost because everything was developed. But we did it because we felt it would make it better. Not, it was enough the way it was, but we didn't want it to be just enough. We wanted it to be really ironclad as much as possible so that now the lawyer, once the thing comes in, it says, hey, Bob Smith has said he wants to hire you and here's a signed engagement agreement. Please confirm your ethics check and please confirm you want to engage him. And you're manually now making these assertive and affirmative things right in the process. So the beautiful thing about this that we have done is, and this is the stuff happening because of technology, we are actually near perfectly tracking every communication between you and that client. And the client is clicking through along the way with their qualifications and confirming, hey, if, for example, if the client chooses some things that might be inconsistent, we might pop up and say, hey, you know what, you have a child and you're not electing an understated age trust, right? That might be something that might get automated. Now, again, that's not there now, but it's one of the things that's in the hopper to be done as we continue to improve things. To automate and now keep track of every client input and is digitized so we can actually track, oh no, here's where the client did this, here's where we did that. And so now you actually have a perfect record of all engagement and interaction with that client. So from an ethics standpoint and actually even a compliance standpoint, highest, really high bar that we've met. Lisa, you're muted.
Yeah, so thank you for sharing that. A couple of things for follow-up, and then Bill, we're going to get right to you. Number one, you can go to the website and download your digital version of the Digitization of Law book if you have not already. And number two, for everyone on the call, we have TAPR coming up, our twice annual practice enhancement retreat in the first week of May. Everyone on this call is absolutely invited, encouraged to join us. There's going to be heavy Guidr sessions, and in that Guidr session, you will be getting your book, in addition to a lot of other great things to just help bring your practice to the next level. So if you're not registered for TAPR, please go to our website, check it out, and get there. It's really fun, and it will absolutely just give you a lot of great energy, and plus you'll be surrounded by fellow member attorneys. And you'll get your book there as well. So Bill, thanks for joining us. So nice to see you.
Hey, good morning, Lisa. How are you?
Good morning.
Morning, Dave. Morning, Tim. Good morning, everybody
Good
else.
morning, driving. I love you. There's a man dedicated on his way in, and it's good to see you all dressed up in a suit. You don't see lawyers dressed in suits anymore.
When I hear that Dave Zuppano is going to be on a Zoom call, I have to listen.
You're a glutton for punishment, Bill.
Not at all. Not at all. So I apologize if you spoke about this earlier. The whole execution facet of this, right? It's so the plan has been generated by the client through Guidr. Now, if I recall, were there a couple of options that the client has, whether they do it on their own with instructions, or if they actually come into the office for an attorney supervised execution?
Yeah. So Britt, I'm going to have you answer that. And
Yeah,
then Tim,
Bill.
Tim, if you want to share any of your personal insight too, that would be great. But Britt, this is you.
Yeah. So Bill, first of all, I'm pretty
Hi,
sure
Brittany.
the 3 calls we've been on, you've been in the car every single time. So I don't know if you have an offer or if that's it, but
I just love my car.
He's the Lincoln lawyer.
he is the Lincoln lawyer. Yes, Bill. So there are 2 options. And I did put this in the chat here. Somebody else had just asked that question as well. So there are 2 options right now. It is the self-sign or the supervised sign that the client chooses. The attorney does review both of those. They do a conflicts check. You have to accept the engagement agreement. And the main difference is the review for the self-sign is based on the limited scope of information you have from the client. So for that self-sign, you see their basic information. That's all your review is based off of. You don't have right now, you don't have their financials. There is not quite that higher level of review that's necessary. With the supervised sign, that's where they get the phone call with the attorney. They get a little bit, we'll say, red carpet treatment for Guidr, which is they get a phone call with the attorney to go over their plan, their choices over the phone, and then they can come in and sign. And what's nice is that signing doesn't have to be with an attorney. Once the attorney has talked to them, they're happy with their choices. Like I know the lab is having them sign with a paralegal. At that point, as long as your state doesn't require the signing be with an attorney, it's saving the attorney some time there. Does that answer your question with the 2 choices?
It does. I would just, I'm in New York, like Dave and Tim, so there's a lot of weight given to an attorney supervised, will execution versus one that's not,
Correct.
Well, I would make another comment. And this was really a heavy conversation with the ethics attorney. Again, for my friend Tim, he'll stroke out when I say this, but eventually he will come to this too. The ethics attorney was very clear. Are you ready for this? The attorney does not have to do the review. You can have your staff do the review, just like you do in your office. It's under the guise and supervision of an attorney. So for example, and to oversimplify this, Guidr is totally basic, simple documents. Like we've had people say, well, how do I edit them? You don't. There is no editing of these documents. If people want editing and customization, they're not using Guidr, they're coming into your office. They want quick, easy, efficient, and cheap. And so that's what this is doing. So you can actually delegate the review to your staff, paraprofessionals. You can actually even delegate, again, this is where I think most of us as attorneys would prefer to have the call with them to review it instead of delegating that, but you could probably even delegate some element of that. The thing I would say is this though, don't turn it into a full traditional meeting. It's not intended to be a 2-hour consultation on what they did. It's intended to be a very brief review. Okay, here's what you're doing. Does that meet your needs? Obviously, there's always the opportunity for the upsell in those meetings, but I wouldn't even recommend that because it overwhelms and say, okay, well, why don't you get this in place? And then maybe we could set up an additional meeting to discuss if there's other things you want to add to it. But yeah, the ethics attorney was very clear. Your staff can do that because it's under your supervision. So like Tim, he'll get used to it. He'll get comfortable with it. Then he'll make sure his staff maintain his standards. And then eventually his staff will just be doing it.
And I've mentioned that to some of our other partners. So that is true. The ethics attorney has said The attorney is ultimately responsible for, not for the review, but for the client. It is the attorney, it's not the paralegal, but a paralegal or other office staff could absolutely review the plan. I've told some partners, just set up a process in your office, have that paralegal look through this. They're looking at a summary sheet, which I think you'll see in a minute when I share my screen. If there is something, pick out your red flags that say, hey, if you catch this, come to me. I want to see it if this one little scenario happens. I want to see it. So just set up internally that process of what comes to you and what doesn't.
I'm going to give you one other instinct for the lawyers on the call, because again, you guys all have to remember, I'm a lawyer first, right? First, do no harm. What you also have to appreciate, Guidr in its design and build has the client making acknowledgments throughout the process, acknowledging they are not coming into the office. We are not responsible for the things we would have learned had they come into the office. In the engagement agreement, there's a whole specific provision around what the engagement of an online representation means and what it does not mean. And so it's ironclad. So you don't have to worry about, oh my God, what if we find out this person had millions of dollars and they just did this simple thing? That's not your problem. They're agreeing to the information and the way it's being done, and they're being encouraged to come into the office if they have other questions or issues. So even that has been built into the system to protect us as lawyers. So rest assured, there's a lot of things that have been built into the system to maintain the highest ethical standards and to maintain compliance and records of what the client's acknowledging along the way.
Any intention to submit an inquiry to, state bar associations to get an opinion on it?
Here's my immediate answer to that. For those of you that know me, here's my answer. If you go to the attorneys in the world, they still don't think you could do a mid or a fit, right? So in theory, the issue is this. What I am confident of is that it's being done every day on the legal Zooms and things of that nature. So we know it can be done. The secondary is, can it be done by lawyers? Yes, as long as we're meeting all of our ethical requirements along the way. We have done that in essence by the engagement of the ethics attorney, who's been very engaged and involved at every step of the process, enhancing it, again, even beyond what he says is appropriate. So I don't think it rises to the level to have any kind of approval from anyone.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
Yeah. I want to say something on that. You can use this product in the way that you are comfortable with. Don't fail to use it and thereby deprive people who need your help of your help. If you are in a place, as I am right now in my development, I am still in a place where I'm going to talk to everybody who uses Guidr. That's where I am right now. So I do it. And it's okay. I can roll this out in my way for my confidence level. But what I'm not going to do anymore professionally is I am not going to wait until every possible never going to happen contingency is thought out and evaluated before I help people.
And that's coming from a high fact finder.
That sentence is the product of 6 years of soul searching.
Thank you, Tim, for sharing that. Dinesh, I see you have a hand up.
Yeah, I've also, because we've consistently and forever had horrible response to all of our workshops. But this is also a great way for people to get steered into our workshops, because they get a little piece of their plan in place right now. And we say, hey, let's get yours, because everybody that calls us wants their stuff done now. None of it can wait. So we say, okay, let's get your powers of attorney, your essential stuff done now. You can do that on your own time. And then here's our online workshop. We can tell when they register for that, or our on-demand workshop. So we're getting people in the interim going to our workshop and then coming back and saying, oh yeah, we actually do need a little bit more. So can we come in and talk? So it's a great segue into the actual in-office process that we would use.
Great. I love that feedback. Thank you. Very good. All right. So we're almost 10 minutes to wrapping up. Tim, a special thank you for joining us today. Great conversation. Dinesh, everyone who gave input and asked questions, again, thank you so much. for participating. As always, we always do this once a month. And if you are coming to Taper, I am looking forward to seeing you all in person. And also, there is going to be a very heavy Guidr session during Taper that I would love for everyone that is on this call to participate and join in. Britt, over to you, girl.
Okay, I am going to share my screen. So unlike last time,
Britt, there is a question in the thing you might be able to answer, I think, too.
Oh, yep. Let's see.
I can't recall. We see the contact info they entered in the Guidr dashboard, right? That is our plan. Oh yeah, we have two Wi-Fi finders here. We're doing a demo to our influencers. Yes. So yes, you will see the contact info, and actually, when I share my screen, you'll see exactly what you can see ahead of time. So Julie, let's show this, and then if you have follow-up questions, feel free to unmute. Let's talk about it. So what I'm going to show is the newest feature that I tried to show actually last month. So it was there last month, but it has to do with accepting the engagement agreement. We touched on that already a little bit. So let's start. We're going to back up a little bit. This is still on the client's end. So let's say the client, I am going through here and I'm the client and I'm just finishing up my plan. I just want to show you guys what it looks like to them before they finish. So, okay, good. I had to approve my stuff. I already did that because I had this preset, but it will ask them then that we've talked about here. Are you going to do the supervised signing or the self-signing? We always have this recommended box around the supervised sign, but they can choose whichever one they want. So it doesn't matter for purposes of this. I'll select one. I'll put in my fake card stuff here. Don't worry, this is not going to work on anybody else's stuff, so don't get excited. I wanted to highlight here that we do have a little warning for them. So this is the newer feature. So they are not actually charged until you accept the engagement agreement. So it explains to them here, a hold will be placed on your card until the law firm has reviewed and accepted the engagement agreement. So the client is accepting it at this point, but you have not accepted them as a client yet because you haven't done a conflicts check or whatever you needed to do in order to accept it. So I, as the client, I can view this ahead of time. It does pop up. It tells me what I'm paying for. And it tells me these are different based on whether you choose the self or supervised signing. I'm going to accept that and confirm my payment. And you'll see they get a little heads up that says, oh, it does tell them their payment was successful. So right now on this person's card, there would be a hold. It is not actually charged yet because we don't want to collect the fee before you've actually accepted that. So let me now pretend to log in as a attorney. So what it would look like to you to review this plan. So you would see, here I am, Britt Shearin. The status for me is this review engagement agreement. So this is new. Along with, I think I didn't get to highlight this last time, is the signing type. So over here, this is a new column that we've added because it wasn't really evident at first whether it was a self or a supervised signing. And you have a little bit more of more responsibilities with that supervised sign to schedule a call or schedule the in-office signing. So you will see that the status is review the engagement agreement. I have not accepted this yet. What I'm going to do is click this view summary, and here, Julie, I think this is what you're asking is, I can see name, I can see contact information, I have their cell phone, I have their, anything that they've entered, their email address, all of the people they've named in their documents. So I can see all of this ahead of time. What you cannot see ahead of time is you cannot assemble the documents before you accept the engagement. Think of it as two different steps though. So think of this first, you're accepting the engagement agreement, and then you can go to reviewing the plan. Don't say, oh, I know that, or they didn't answer a question here, which I don't think it will even let you move through the process without answering a question. But if you caught something on here that you're like, no, I want them to make this change, you need to accept them as a client first. And then when you're reviewing the plan, you can make that change or ask them to make that change. So let's say I'm going to accept this. Did I perform a conflicts check and agree to the engagement? That's all I'm doing here is I'm taking them on as a client, confirm. And now I can go on with my review. It tells you, okay, great, now the payment has gone through. The attorney on their end the client on their end still cannot download their documents until you review. So it is really 2 steps. You accept the engagement and then you start the review of the plan. You can see there were no add-ons available for this. I just chose a healthcare proxy. So normally here you could see whether they chose the underage trust or the disabled trust, whatever the add-ons might be for your state specific document. You can go through their interview one by one. You can actually make edits to this. If you make edits, it does send it back to the client to say, hey, this has changed. Do you accept the changes? So it's not like the attorney just making those choices for them. Or if you don't want to go through this exactly line by line and look at all of their answers, you just go to the summary page. Scroll through here, you see all of their answers right in this one place. And that's where you can either preview the documents, finish the review, say, okay, you're good to go. This is reviewed and all set, and it kicks it back to them. As you saw, I chose self-signing. So at that point, they would be able to download their documents and go get those signed. With the supervised sign, you should be doing this review with them on the phone so that you can go through here and say, did you understand this? Did you understand, here's what you chose, and maybe do a little explanation of, oh, so great. Yeah, you wanted to donate your body medical science. Okay. If they didn't want to, you can change it at that point. So that's all I wanted to show, was that now there are the 2 different steps of proactively accepting the engagement agreement and then separately reviewing their plan. Julie,
I would highlight one thing, Brittany, it's really important. I'm a systems guy. This is about process, folks. It does no good for Guidr to be super efficient and send you emails that you leave unopened, that you don't open and accept the engagement agreement, and you don't do the reviews. People are going online because they want quick and efficient. Remember, you're competing against the self-help websites, and that's instantaneous. We as lawyers could not set it up as instantaneous because we have those obligations to do the review. And that's why it's important. Like Tim was saying, Tim, I think you were in Disneyland and you actually did a review and approved right from your cell phone. And then that proceeded to deliver then the documents to the client. So make sure your internal process, you have somebody, we send it to info@EP. You set up where the emails go to. And you don't want to generally send it to an individual who, if they're out one day, they just get forgotten, things of that nature. So you really want to make sure in your process, you have it as part of your regular daily routine to be monitoring that in real time.
Thanks, Dave, for the input. So there's a couple people on the call. I don't know if you're just listening, but Mike Manager, I just wanted to say hi. Thanks for joining us. Didn't know if you had any questions or follow up from this conversation today. Ella, also from Bittinger and Estelle. Hi, nice. Thank you for joining us. And
one question, I think.
Oh, there's Mike.
Yeah.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, Lisa, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, this is something that I'm interested in and just trying to glean as much as I can as we make the jump. So thank you for this.
Okay, great. And please feel free if you have any questions or want a side conversation, reach out and we'll definitely set up a meeting with you. And of course, this recording will be available again on our YouTube channel. Ella, thank you for joining us today.
Hi. So I'm new with this firm and I am the marketing director. So I'll be the one who's pushing out Guidr, and we've already accepted it and it's on our website. We had some concerns. A lot of them were addressed. I appreciate it, Tim. I'm of the generation where I don't want to sit down with an attorney and I want the self-sign option. So I think that's amazing. Our reservation on that was all of the marketing points to you're working with an attorney. Like you get to do your documents your way, but you're doing it with a local attorney. But if you're self-signing, you're not actually working with an attorney. So that kind of scared us. But if the attorney has to review the documents before they realistically can be pushed through, whether they're actually doing it or not, that does, I guess, lead towards working with your local attorney. So
well, yeah, and I could talk to, so the concept is that we don't want to be like LegalZoom. We're unique because the only way that somebody gets through the Guidr platform is through a local attorney. So regardless if they're doing it without even any human interaction and they choose the self-sign, it's still backed by your law firm. So the idea is they have a question, they're going to call you. They're forever sticky with you now.
True.
Yeah, and I would even say this, Ella, again, I'm the lawyer, I'm looking at the ethical issues. The real issue here is this. They actually, from the moment they go on to your site and click on the Guidr, they actually are inside your law firm. What we're doing and what the Guidr platform really does is it's delegating to the client the data entry. But they're actually going through the same process and same analysis and questions as if they came into our office. And that's really important that you understand it is actually through a lawyer. It's not through a non-law firm. And the review and the engagement agreement, and even on the self-signing, Ella, there are exclusive disclosures that the client is acknowledging that they acknowledge that the number one problem with wills and documents working is they're not executed properly. They understand that and they're assuming that risk and doing a self-signing. So that's no different than what we would do in the office. So it really is really a high level, but it is nonetheless through a law firm. So it is a unique differentiator. And I think that's important for you as a marketing person to understand. It is the unique differentiator with this between all the self-help sites is it is through an actual lawyer and law firm. And the other beautiful part is they can walk down the street and knock on your door, can't they? They can't do that with LegalZoom. They can't do that with willsandtrust.com, but they can do that with Bittinger and Estelle, right? So that's what makes it unique.
Thank you. Dinesh and Debbie, thank you for joining us. Bill, thank you. Tom, nice seeing you again, sir. I appreciate your promptness. You've been here almost every single roundtable. Thank you. I hope that you get great information every time you attend. Josh, nice seeing you. Looking forward to seeing you at Taper. Julie, great questions as always. So thank you. And Tim, again, huge thanks for sharing your input. I think super beneficial.
Real quick, Bill Newstead, yes, the action step, maybe Britt already answered it. I didn't get on that far. Yep.
Yeah, Britt's on top of it, Dave.
Britt, you're one step ahead. I love it.
Okay, so anything else before we jump off, or is everybody good? We're good. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful day. See you at the April roundtable, followed by North Carolina in May. Talk soon.